Okay, good morning. So, today we're going to discuss another prophecy. And this prophecy is through John. Now, John did have the gift of prophecy, and most of his prophecies um, already came true. They were specifically for the first century. A lot of them were, but some of them weren't. One of them is the lake of fire. Now, when we think of a lake, we tend to think of a body of water. You know, it's liquid and it's water, and it's normally cool or cold. Well, this vision that he had was not of water, but of fire. And he's all he did was when he received his prophecies and his visions, he simply wrote them down and he distributed them to the different churches. So let's hear what he writes about this lake of fire. So we're going to start in Revelation chapter 20, starting in verse 11. And it says, "And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them." Okay. So he's seeing or having a vision of this great white throne, and the heaven and earth, they're no more. It fled away from this individual's face, whoever it is that's sitting on this throne, and it can be found no more. Let's go down to verse 14 through 15. And then it says, "And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire." So, thus far, all we know is that this lake of fire exists in place of heaven and earth, and that whoever's name was not put into this book of life, they're going to be found in the lake of fire, which obviously is a place of punishment. Let's go to Peter. So, Peter tells us a little bit more about the destruction of the heavens and the earth. He tells us that this current earth that we currently know, that we see, that we live in, is going to be destroyed by fire. So let's read what he says about this fire. 2 Peter chapter 3, starting in verse 7. And it says, "But the heavens and the earth, which are now by the same word, are kept in store, reserved unto fire, against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men." So right here, Peter is telling us that it's because of, ungodliness, unholiness. It's because of iniquity that the reason why this whole earth is going to be destroyed. And remember, Peter, he was um, a personal friend of Jesus. And Peter, he too had the gift of prophecy. And his is a little bit more detailed, in my opinion, than John is, as far as the destruction of the heaven and earth. Uh, John mentions it, but Peter goes into detail. Let's read same chapter, verses 10 through 12. And it says, "But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness, looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of God, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat." So we'll just stop right there. So Peter goes into detail and tells us, okay, look, the heavens and the earth, they're going to be destroyed by fire. And it talks about, everything dissolving, melting, fervent heat. So the thing that I like about Peter's prophecy and John's prophecy is that science can help us to envision what they can see. So I have some pictures here. So we have a description of a lake of fire. That's what John sees is a lake of fire. Well, thankfully, because of science, we can see what one would look like or does look like actually. This is a picture of a volcano, and I hope you guys can see it. This is what a lake of fire looks like. And in fact, this particular picture is in Congo, in Africa, actually. So, really, when you think of all the volcanoes that exist on the earth, all of them contain, or all the active ones contain magma chambers, which pretty much look like this lake of fire that I've just shown you right here. Um, and if you want to look at a little bit more up close what the fire looks like, because again, it's still liquid, but at the same time, it's still fire. So we have this right here, an up close picture of what the fire looks like, thanks to science. So the fact that he was having these visions and he could see these things, and it's not like he was like a volcanologist. It's not like he studied volcanoes himself. Um, but because of science, we know that fire does exist, and it does exist in the form of a lake, in a magma chamber. Um, so at the base of any active volcano, you would be able to find hot magma, you know, in a circular form, because that's where the cones normally look like for volcanoes. And if you go to, here's a diagram. This is a diagram of a magma chamber, just so you can, again, get the picture of what we're looking at here. So basically, today's study was about the prophecy of the lake of fire. John predicts that it's pretty much going to take over the world, that there's not going to be any more earth left. It's just going to be that lake of fire, and it's reserved for punishment for the ungodly. Um, this was a bit of a scary topic today, but it just goes to show that some of those prophecies, they have meaning to them, and that we shouldn't necessarily ignore them just because we weren't there at the time when they made the prophecy. um, that has no bearing on it. Basically, through science, we can actually see a little bit of what John saw. And again, he had the gift of prophecy. He prophesied a lot of things for the first century that actually happened, that it's documented that they actually happened. And this is just one that he's prophesied for our future, meaning it hasn't come to fruition just yet. So if you have any questions or any comments, feel free to make them. And hopefully, I'll have more on the other prophecies that have yet to be fulfilled. I do hope you guys take care. Oh, I will leave you with this one encouraging word for those of us who may be a little a little afraid. So for those of us, if you know that you are living the life that you're supposed to be living, that you're living right, here's some encouraging words. And this is also coming from Peter right after he describes the destruction. And he says in verse 13, chapter 3, Second Peter, he says, nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heavens and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness. So the encouraging part is, even though the earth is predicted to be destroyed by fire, there is supposed to be a new earth and new heaven already created for the righteous to dwell in. So I do want to leave you with a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of reality check, and a little bit of encouragement. Y'all take care. Peace.